going out to everyone.
It's going out to everybody,
Yeah,
and
that's
we're live.
broadcast by definition. Yeah,
But yeah, it is a broad and a broadcast on the web.
Yep.
So we are talking all about NetHui, and I get to
NetHui, please.
excuse me, NetHui.
Yeah, it's from a Te Reo word. It's a Maori word. Hui is a gathering to talk. So yeah, it's not. I guess it looks like it might be French and hui, but it's not. It's Hui.
All right, so go back a few steps and
Yeah.
tell everybody who you are and tell us about NetHui.
Hi, I'm Kevin Prince. I've been involved in NetHui since the very first one. So I had my arm twisted and when I stopped screaming, I found I'd volunteered to go talk about accessibility, and I really enjoyed my time there. So I keep going back like a fool. And the last 3 NetHui, I've been involved in wrangling the program and helping the community come together. So the words I use, and you'll see those if you go onto the NetHui site, which is off the top of my head 2015.nethui or 2015 NetHui, whatever. I'll check that out. Ron will check that out while I'm talking. Yep. What I say on there in the How to NetHui page is basically, it's not a conference, but it's not a bar camp. So whilst we have a program, we don't all sit there for 45 minutes listening to the super expert speaker chat away and we all clap politely. It's all about the conversation. So what the core of NetHui is, and this year there'll be 28 sessions plus 5 bar camp sessions, is approximately 1 hour. We're trying something new this year and having a couple of extended sessions, but they're live streamed, they're conversations. So the facilitator's job is, first of all, to set what the session is going to be. So Internet New Zealand, who are the organizers and it's their conference, they don't sit down and go, okay, what are we going to talk about? What we do is we go out to our community and we say, what do you guys want to talk about? We might have some ideas, and there might be some hot topics that we maybe tap a couple of people on the shoulders to suggest. But overall, it's about, what does the community want to talk about? So the community get back to us and tell us that. And we sort of go, well, you guys talking about something that's kind of similar. Can we put you together? Because, as you know, if you get 50 people in a room, you've got 100 ideas. So we sort of pull them together and say, right, well, if you 3 go off and work together on a session around, say, I don't know, one guy comes up and says, I want to do oranges. One guy comes up and says, I want to do bananas. We say, well, you guys are talking about the same thing. Why don't you do a session on fruit? Yeah. And that's what we do. That's kind of the process. So that's all sort of shakes itself out. Obviously, we look at, what's hot at the moment. So we will be doing a session around, for example, all the changes that I can with the domains. But in the main, it's what does the community want to talk about? Because it really is a community-led event. Around that, we wrap the keynotes. We wrap a bar camp. So 45 minutes is a good session sometimes. Sometimes it's just not long enough. Or sometimes something comes up that's not what we're talking about, what the facilitators have sort of scoped for that session. But it's really important. Or it's just sort of late breaking. So what we've got is a bar camp as well, where people can say, right, let's go and take that conversation and put it in the bar camp. So we don't know what's going to be in those 5 sessions, but they'll be running pretty much the same way, but not streamed. I've lost track where I am. For those that don't know, I'm actually a Kiwi, and I'm currently in DC, and I'm fairly confused as to what even day it is at the moment. Yeah, so we've got some keynotes. So the thing I love about NetHui, it's a conversation. It's about the community. It's about the whole community. And we'll have in the same room, at one end, we'll have someone who maybe runs, I always use Angela as an example here. She runs the IT hub in Martin, and Martin is it's a very small town. In most countries, it would be called a village. She runs the IT hub. The seniors come along, use the computers. The kids come along and do their homework. At the other end of the room, you've got the Minister of ICT. It really is that much of a contrast. Across that, you've got total geeks who are only interested in digging holes and putting cables in them and connecting them to routers, sorry, for my transatlantic audience, right through to, we've got the creatives. So we'll be talking about copyright. We'll be talking about how the internet affects not only the content that I can take as a consumer, but how does it affect them who create artistic content that they want to get out there? But you've got that huge spectrum of interest there. We'll have the disability community well represented as usual. That's a very important thing. What we believe is the current phrase, the internet is it's a better world through a better internet. Yep. So it's about inclusion.
Okay.
We really believe in inclusion. So there'll be a Mari stream. There's a Pacifica stream as well. So the Pacific Islands community are coming together. And this year we've got a particular fellowship specifically aimed at bringing in Pacific Islands attendees. Yeah. So sorry, Ron, you were just going to say.
I was going to say one of the two words and the two terms that keep on popping out the past 2 years are digital literacy and digital inclusion. Yep. Can you explain that to folks?
Yeah, digital literacy, it's more than can I do Trade Me or eBay. It's more than can I go on Facebook. It's even more than do I know how to use Word, because let's face it, most people think they know how to use Word or Office, those Office things. It's about being a safe. It's about knowing that you can contribute online, that you can consume online, how to be safe online, about how to secure not only how to secure yourself from say hackers and the like, but we're very, very strong on security online and the internet bullying type thing. So there'll be a session this time, for example, on we've recently had some changes to our Harmful Digital Communications Act in New Zealand. We've got Judge Harvey coming down to talk about how that's playing out. We've got the guys from NetSafe, which is a New Zealand organisation that promotes safe behaviours online. So it teaches kids how not to go talking to the wrong guy in a chat room.
Fantastic. You know what? And I'm going to get.
Sorry, the inclusion thing is the internet is everybody's business. That's this year's slogan. And by everybody, we genuinely mean everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're 99 or 90. It doesn't matter whether you can see, hear, whether you're particularly literate in your English. The internet is a place where everyone should have an equal voice, and we're very keen about. We know it isn't, but it should be, and that's what we'd like to be. So we're really solid about having an inclusive voice. It's no good the guys in suits who dig holes and connect routers together being the ones who decide what the internet is. The internet actually is brilliant for allowing anybody to send information from anyone to anyone or to do anything they like. It's permissionless innovation. Again, another Internet New Zealand slogan, it's open and uncapturable. That is what the net is. We're gradually sort of spreading that out to encompass the web, because let's face it, the net's great, but if you don't do anything over it, it's just the net. So we're interested in things like internet.org, the new sort of Facebook-led thing. Is that the internet? Well, it's not the internet that I know. It's a walled garden. That might be okay if I know what I'm doing and I'm happy inside that walled garden and I've made the choice to be there, great. But actually, if what we're seeing maybe is corporate interests are take over the whole market purely because they're big and people know them, then what you're saying is people are not getting the internet that you and I know as being free and open and uncapturable. So that's what we mean about inclusion. It really is everybody. We're not listening to the techies. We're listening to everybody.
No,
it's not about business.
And it's made a very strong statement for that. And I don't see many other kind of techie or internet conferences that make a strong statement for digital inclusion. We've seen that in Wales in the past few years, but I believe those efforts are now defunded. Thank you very much.
Yep.
But if we don't make that a priority, it's just not going to happen, and we're going to leave people out.
Yeah, I think what's really important is we're not against the people who dig holes and drag cables and make money either. It's it's a space where they're completely welcome too. We're not anti-business. One very strong, we're not anti-copyright. What we're anti is propping up sort of unsustainable business models by using your power and might to block the pipes. So net neutrality will certainly get discussed. I know it's the world's most exciting topic, but actually, once you start putting it to people that, okay, you hear net neutrality, you turn off. You hear I can't get to see Game of Thrones, you're interested all of a sudden.
I mean, your keynote presentations have just been a who's who and a veritable treasure house of great ideas and great thinkers.
Yeah.
And I go back to what Lawrence Lessig, who.
Oh wow! What a keynote that was. Yeah.
And certainly, protect your copyright, but give people the right to make things more and more open. Here's the other thing I want to show you. Here's my little tablet computer. We didn't have this 10 years ago. Here's the Hika app. The connection you have with the Maori culture. Just is stellar. And seeing language apps like, there we are, Hika.
Sweet. Yeah.
Fantastic. And again, it's one of these things where I never know exactly where to expect to find these little hidden treasures during NetHui, but they invariably pop up. And did you know we created this? Like, no, that's great.
That's the thing about NetHui, actually. I can remember the first year I went, and I went back to, at the time I was working for a not-for-profit in the disability sector. And I went back and I said, guys, you all need to come. And they went, well, why? And I went, I don't know, but if you come, you'll know. And they came, and they know. It's the connections you make. It's the opportunities, you say, the things you find that you're not expecting to find, and the synchronicity of it is fantastic. And I think that's because we are inclusive. We genuinely are. And whether you're the minister, or you've just dragged in onto the street and you've had to get a fellowship because you couldn't even afford to get it, the cost of the bus fare to get there, your voice is just as valid. And those conversations are held very respectfully. 99% of the time we don't have anyone crying in the corner, and that's quite amazing, actually, when you think about the mix of people we've got. It really is a very respectful space. Whether that comes down to the Kiwi character a bit, I don't know. I don't know whether you could whether you could do this in other countries. I won't mention it. You certainly couldn't do it in England.
I'll tell you this: what I wonder. I work quite a bit in the conservation and the tourism sector, and what I don't understand is why we don't see more of the tourism conferences that are supposed to be talking up and promoting New Zealand. Why they don't do live streaming? But
it's not just the live streaming that it's that whole it works, and you think, how do you get all these people who are just got so many different perspectives and socioeconomic area, the whole gamut of, as I say, from ministers of the Crown right down to people like me who are just private citizen, and I guess part of that is definitely from the New Zealand culture, which is that you've heard about 2 degrees of separation. I mean, literally, once you've been there about 5 years, if you meet someone and you don't know them, you can guarantee that you have a mutual acquaintance. You can guarantee that almost certainly. It really is a sort of huge village.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's scary as well. You really don't want to burn any bridges in New Zealand ever.
Well, what do we say in Oaxaca, Mexico, un pueblo chico, un infierno grande, or a small town and a big hell?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about accessibility and what that means to you.
I'm kind of passionate that everyone, again, you've heard me talk about inclusion, and you can tell that sort of really comes quite deep to me. Accessibility, I don't mind someone deciding not to go on the net. What I hate is, I can't, it's too difficult, it doesn't work for me. If I'm blind, I can't read it, or if I'm deaf, it's just too hard. Especially when the tools are there first of all, for them to make some adjustments themselves. So there's a little bit of self-help there. So, what I really does annoy me is when companies forget about accessibility, because 99% of it is building stuff to standards. So I spend a lot of time talking to people about standards-based coding, how they can make their sites more accessible. And usually it's not, the 80-20 rule, 80% of the benefit can be done very easily. So it's as silly as not turning off the visual focus. You know the visual focus, when you tab around a website, you get the little box around or an underline when you're on a link.
Okay.
A lot of the boilerplate CSS just turns that off. I hope I'm not being too techie there. And it turns it off, but there's a little comment in it that says, when you use this boilerplate CSS, decide what outline you want and put it on. So so it's just through not knowing. But what that means is if you're sighted but can't use a mouse, so say, I don't know, you've got very limited movement in your hands, or you've got Parkinson's, or just tremors, and you can't use a mouse, you can't tab around. If you can't tab around because you can't see what you're focused on from tab to tab. Simple change. It's a one-line change in your CSS. It would make a huge difference for a huge number of people, especially even people who don't actually think they're disabled. They're just old and they've got tremors. Color contrast, again, people spend millions of dollars getting the design companies to choose a pair of colors for their logo. They could choose a pair that contrasted enough so it works online. But by the time the accessibility people get in, it's usually, well, we've spent millions of dollars on choosing these colors and we're not changing them now. And it makes a problem. You think, why? Yeah, just because the 20-year-olds could read it. I mean, gray on gray is the classic nowadays. It's hopefully it's becoming less trendy. Yeah. And I find it difficult to read low contrast text, and I'm just, short, well, actually long-sighted. So I haven't actually got a vision problem as far as screens go. So, anyone who's got any kind of vision problem or dyslexia even is going to have trouble just because of low contrast. So there's two real simple things anyone can do that will open up their website to a huge number of people. Yeah, so yeah, I get very passionate about accessibility. I've actually spent this week working with the International Association of Accessibility Professionals. We're starting to pull together a certification. So yeah, that's been my week.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you if you can share your screen and take us over to the NetHui program.
Yeah, no worries. Let me give that a go. Screen share. See if this still works, Ron. So we have, come on, start screen share. That's the answer. So technology, I don't do it. No. So we have 3 days, and we call the first day day 0. Why is that?
Why is that?
Basically, remember we talked about the heart of NetHui being the conversations? They only happen on the Thursday and the Friday. So really, day 1 and day 2, the keynote happens on the morning of the Thursday, but we start Wednesday morning. So when we start on what we use Wednesday for is, there's a couple of, well, there's five main things that will be happening. I mean, this year we're actually hosting the Internet Society for their 2015 Intercommunity event. So one stream will be following what the Internet Society are doing. That's a global, it's a global society with very similar aims to Internet New Zealand. Basically, they promote the internet. So there'll be a Māori meetup, which is run again by the community. We have no input into that program, and basically what we do as Internet NZ is they've got a space. We provide them the room. We do the sort of any admin they need. So they'll have the Wi-Fi, they'll have registrations all sorted. They've got that room to do with what they will. So they're going to go in there. They're going to talk about issues that are particular to the Māori community. Very often, the Māori community is quite, and I hesitate to speak for them. It's very difficult as a Pākehā, as they would call me. But their issues are quite quite complex in that it's very much based around your origin, your tribe, and your history and your family, or whānau, which is more than family. Family doesn't translate to whānau. Whānau is a much wider concept. And I'm not going to go into it because I'll get it wrong. But one of those things, what that happens is that the marae, which is sort of the traditional meeting place and that's sort of the hub of the community, often tend to be rural, and getting connected and getting online is difficult when you're rural. What's even more interesting, of course, it's a very elder-focused society. So the young guys that want to get connected, obviously they haven't got the control, and you know, it's neither good nor bad. It is what it is. But of course, those that are making the decisions are maybe not quite as up with the play in some ways. So you know, they'll be talking about those specific Maori issues. Then we've got a room which is run by INTAC, and I should know what this means, but basically it's a technical conference, so I guess it's Internet Technical something. They go off and talk very geeky. And they'll be doing stuff really down in the weeds. Then, very similar to the Maori meetup, we've got a Pacific Internet meetup. So this is guys from the Pacific Islands, but also we have a large Pacific Islands community within New Zealand. So they're going to get and go. They have similar problems to the Maori as well, with very much a hierarchical and family-based society. So that's great. Education forum. I think that does what it says on the tin. Being run by a bunch of teachers. It's run by educators for educators. So again, I don't know what they're going to cover. It'd be really interesting to find out, actually. And so what's nice is both Amara. Sorry.
Excuse me. And so none of these presentations are being live streamed on day 0, right?
No. So those are sort of, they're not closed meetings. The one condition really we put on each of those meetings is you got to accept anyone who wants to come along. Yep. But they won't be live streamed on that first day. Mm-hmm. So basically what do the rest of us do? Well, we'll be doing the Internet Society meetings, and then there's a thing called Jumpstart. The idea of Jumpstart is, we're in this is the 5th full NetHui. What we don't want to be doing is having the same conversation that we had last year, that we had the year before. So there's a number of people. Last year we worked out we had about a 50% new to old ratio, which is great. There's kind of a perception sometimes that it's the same old people talking about the same old things. Well, actually, look at the figures. We get good turnover of attendees, depending where we are as well. So Jumpstart is, if it's your first NetHui, or you've got maybe quite a niche interest in the internet, Jumpstart's the place to find out what's happening elsewhere. So what we'll have there is a sort of get to know everybody, give them the confidence that their opinion's important, and actually we would like them to speak, and that they will be respected and welcome to speak during the sessions. And we'll have, there's about 6 or 7 lightning talks on that will reflect the program, and they're not tied down just yet. I know there'll be one on accessibility because my arm's hurting right now. 7 or 8 minutes, just really the bare bones, the basic stuff, so that when you go into your conversations on the following 2 days, you're not starting from nothing. So does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah. So it's kind of a warm up, but you'd be surprised, even if you're an old hand attendee, how much you actually pick up and go, I wasn't aware of that, because stuff's always happening, and you follow the bits that you follow. So what's happening there? So it could be education, the Maori, and then we all come back together for a digital inclusion showcase. So that's gone on the program since I last looked. I'm guessing what we're going to talk about is digital inclusion. So how do we get everybody that wants to be online, and how do we make sure people aren't left out? Because one of the things that you may be aware is happening in New Zealand right now is there's been a major push to get everything online, especially government services.
Right.
And if you think about that, well, what happens if everything goes online? You've got some people who just don't want a bar of it. Well, okay, as long as they're making that decision, you know, that's their choice. But you also get people who, if those services aren't designed correctly, will be excluded unwillingly. So, and often that comes back to my accessibility point. So if you design an online government service that the blind can't use it, well, how are they then going to go and deal with the government if the government shuts down all the offices that they would have gone to in person before? But there's many other aspects around digital inclusion. So there's skills, there's, again, digital literacy. If you're not digitally literate, you can only participate to the level at which you can. If you're terrified that the first thing that'll happen when you go online is that you're going to get you're spammed and hacked, then you're not going to become included in those services. And again, you're cut out because your local office is closed down. There's the economic divide. If you just can't afford to have a broadband connection, how do you go access your services? So, you know, we're talking about those things. One thing that really surprised me, I think it was a couple of years ago, this stat came out, but South Auckland, Auckland's our major city. They would like to think they're the only city. Bless them. We love you, Auckland.
Yeah.
But I think it was something frightening, like in South Auckland, which is one of the lower socioeconomic areas, and that's broad. If anyone's listening from South Auckland, apologies, but that's, you know, a real broad generalization. But it's something like 30 or 40% of houses do not have a fixed landline telephone, let alone broadband. They just don't have one. They can't afford the fixed charges. What they do is they might have a pay-as-you-go mobile, and all the kids have got pay-as-you-go mobiles.
Right.
But that's not the same as having the ability to connect with broadband easily. You've got to go to the library or to the local internet hub to get online. That's kind of scary. If you don't want to do your banking in the library, do you?
I hear you.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about all those issues, and hopefully sparking some good debate around that. Then what we do in the evenings is, again, we offer basically, there's a room there, guys. If anyone wants a room, well, there are X number of rooms there. Until we've used up all of those rooms, there's rooms there. So we have things called meetups. So the Internet Society, again, will be having an event. Off the top of my head, that's more of a drinks and chat event, but don't quote me on that. The Open Source Society is having one of those rooms. And then we're trying another new feature for this year is the Wiggly Law launching pad. And the idea of that session, which will run on Wednesday and Thursday, is if you've got some research you want to talk about, a new initiative you want to talk about, and
Okay, we're not hearing you. Darn internet access here in the US. Kevin, we're not hearing you just now. Hopefully we'll be coming back. A reminder to viewers, if you're listening and you have a question, the Q&A app is open. Hopefully we can get Kevin back into this. And I want to thank Kevin for sharing so many insights on what's happening in this program. It's chock full, and we're still on day 0. Okay. We're still recording. We're still live. Waiting for Kevin to come back. Kevin, we do not hear you. Do not hear you. So we'll see if Kevin can come back into the chat. Good luck, Kevin. And yeah, this is how a Hangout works, with glitches included. Hopefully we'll get Kevin back. I'm Ron Motter. I'm the creator and founder of Planeta.com. a website focusing on environmental conservation and responsible travel. I had the pleasure of visiting New Zealand back in 2007, where I keynoted at the Ecotourism NZ conference and was trying to get people onto the social web, the very beginnings of various sites, and it was kind of difficult. So I was very excited when NetHui started because it was kind of that educational course for the Kiwis themselves on how these things work. And as an online, as an event, I across the Pacific was mesmerized by it. It was live streamed. You had all the main sessions, webcast, broadcast live, as well as the breakout sessions, and we'll get to that in day 1 and 2 of the NetHui program. As I say, just an inspiration. It's kind of one of these events where you say, hey, why don't we have that here? And here for me, whether it's the United States and Las Vegas or rural Mexico and the city and state of Oaxaca de Juarez, there are plenty of meetings in these places. Why aren't they not live streaming? Why are we not broadening the appeal? So NetHui really sets the standard, and I've used this as an example over and over with people I work with, saying, it makes sense to make it accessible from the get-go. Anyway, we're waiting for Kevin, hopefully, to come back. and very pleased. We've been chatting via Twitter for a year or so, and just very pleased. The contact that I have via distance, as I say, I've learned so many things. Well, let's look at the tablet. And what's not to love about Hika, the Maori language app? And again, in terms of making things available, that's the male voice. Here's the female voice. And again, all power and all kudos to the people who developed these resources. Just a tremendous advance in what the internet can do. Here's the Dine Bisad language app in orange, and that's developed here in the United States by our Navajo friends. And last week I was attending the Educational Technology Conference and with the developers, Kylo Winters, and showing him the Maori language app. Did you see what this can do? Another one, thank you Digital Maori for the Maori news app. Tangata Whenua, and again, my apologies for mispronunciations. But if you're looking for news from New Zealand, there are plenty of places to go for it. So, where to find out about these wonderful happenings, these wonderful electronic digital happenings? NetHui, and that event will take place July 8th to 10th in lovely Auckland, New Zealand. Yeah, I'm going to go over to my Twitter. Kevin, are you there? Hopefully. We'll get him back. Okay, can you come back into the Hangout? Get this out, right? Yeah, get this out. Oh, glitches, you gotta love them. So yeah, my experience with New Zealand goes back to 2007, my direct experience. And as I say, watching NetHui since 2011, it really has been an eye-opener and an inspiration. So hopefully we'll get back into the program. We'll take a look at more of that with Kevin. I hope. Let's see. Let's go back into the program. I've seen me. Let's see. And thank you folks for watching, for what it's worth. We'll get back to the better parts soon enough. Anyway, this is NetHui 2015 period nethui.nz, NZ for us Americans, / program. And again, it just, to me, a wonderful, well-crafted site. And I would like to ask Kevin about some of these presentations on Thursday. Scene setting from Jordan Carter, a ministerial address by the Honorable Amy Adams, and then into these presentations. I certainly want to follow the Mari meetup follow-up. I'm also eager to see the digital by default in government. Great title, winner, collectivism or slacktivism. Kevin says, can you reboot? Let's see. Kevin is having some technical difficulties with his laptop. Hopefully we'll get him back into this. All right, so I'm going to be looking at, the collectivism or slacktivism. Also very eager to hear about Pacific Islands and the internet. Love the idea that there's a chill out room, or conferences need to have that too. If we go further down on Friday, and this will be, hey, Thursday afternoon and evening in the Americas, presentations on copyright, on New Zealand culture, on international internet governance, and oh, this will be good too. At 2:55, Kevin says, oddly, I'm getting texts intermittently, but I can't reply. Maker Education, Friday at 3 p.m. New Zealand time. And then at 4:15, this probably has to be a highlight of the year, the panel on digital inclusion, the internet for everybody. Now, if we look at this site, hey, thank you, gold sponsors, Internet Society, Facebook, SiteHost, Spark, Google, and Telepath. Thank you, other sponsors. Ooh, Lanyard sponsor. I mean, it's just such a well-crafted, well-put-together event. Just so impressed by this. Yes, they're using Twitter. Yes, NetHui is using Facebook. And I mean, it just, what a wonderful way to see Auckland. So we're going to see if Kevin Prince comes back, interrupting my soliloquy. And I guess the other thing that I'd like to throw into the mix is the idea that remote participants like myself and like you, if you're a viewer not attending the event, you know, I think we might be able to, again, be allies to the event and figure out, again, how to promote the streaming of the event, curate some of the better quotes or better examples that emerge from NetHui. We've used Google Docs before to capture kind of like a transcript of the proceeding. And I think that is kind of a clever idea, that if we have enough people, we can, again, create some relevant resource documents. We'll see what they do. You know, it's kind of following in their footsteps and seeing what we can, you know, how we can best be of help. Back in 2013, I crafted, started using Google Docs, and I'll show you this. It's a page on collaboration in New Zealand travel and tourism. And again, we'll throw this out there again, asking people if they have suggestions on how we can use the web to learn more about responsible travel and tourism in New Zealand. Planeta.com also has a wiki, and again, we'll take the information we find and we'll throw it up onto the wiki for people to share. Poor Kevin has a booming, annoying hotel network. He lost the signaler again. Okay. I just like the idea that Kevin's here in the US, here on this continent, and we're having trouble connecting. Probably better for Kevin to go across the Pacific, and then we'll connect again. And so, yeah, it's not really an option. Can we? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So, sending that off. Hey, the dog choir. So Kevin's not able to finish this hangout. Darn it, we just got to day 0. But my best wishes to everybody putting this event together. It truly is an inspiration, and I'll be watching, and if there are ways that remote participants can best assist you, well, let us know. For those not familiar with NetHui, well, learn, and it really will be something to enjoy. Taking place July 8th to the 10th there in lovely Auckland. So, folks, I'm Ron Motter. I want to thank you for watching the Hangout. Comments are welcome here on the YouTube video or the Google event page, and we will continue this conversation when at a mutually convenient time for everybody. So, thank you for watching, and kia ora.